Post-Brexit. Boris attacked by MEP over bullying Macron as Prime Minister illegally issued fishing licenses. Boris Johnson's credentials as a leader have once again come under fire as a former MEP accused the PM of allowing the bullies to take a mile when it comes to the ongoing fishing row with France. The accusation comes as the UK and Jersey issued further licenses to French fishing boats to trawl British waters in an apparent attempt to ease cross-channel tensions. The Brussels-imposed deadline of midnight on Friday for solving the post-Brexit fishing row passed without an agreement being announced. However, the British government has since confirmed talks on Friday evening between Environment Secretary George Eustice and Virginijus Sinkevicius, from the European Commission, resulted in more small boat licenses being granted. It followed several weeks of intensive technical discussions on licensing. June Mummery, former MEP for the East of England and founder of the Renaissance of the East Anglian Fisheries, condemned Mr Johnson and Lord David Frost's actions. Ms Mummery said, "So, David Frost rolled over and granted 23 more licenses, 7 pending. Let's be clear, French fishermen are not entitled to any more license, these were given as goodwill." She added, "I said this would happen, give the bully boys an inch and they will take a mile." She ended with the #week. The MEP also used the opportunity to accuse European fishermen of seeking to exploit British fishing waters and quotas. She said, 1. France has 92% of the quota for cod in the English Channel. 2. In the Celtic Sea, France gets nearly 3 times the British allocation of Dover sole, 4 times more cod and 5 more haddock. She continued the list. 3. 35,000 tons of fish that arrives in Boulogne each year, 2/3 come from British waters. And 4. The licenses they are trying to blag are worth serious amounts of money. With such statistics in mind, the former MEP said, no one seems to be challenging ministers on this. Little by little Frost and Boris are caving into EU bully boys. Why? Defending the issuing of further licenses to French fishermen, a government spokesperson said, 18 more licenses had been granted to replacement vessels that had been able to present new evidence of having previously fished in British waters, with 7 more boats under consideration. They added, Jersey had granted permanent licenses to an additional 5 vessels. France had threatened to press the EU to instigate legal action and trade restrictions against the UK if there was not a sign of goodwill in the fishing wrangle before the midnight deadline set by Brussels. It is unclear whether the UK's latest licenses offer will satisfy the French government's definition of a gesture of good faith in the talks. The fishing row, which had involved French fishers blocking British access to ports on the continent, centres on licenses to trawl in UK and Channel Islands waters under the terms of Britain's post-Brexit trade deal with the EU, the Trade and Cooperation Agreement, TCA. The main source of contention is the number of licenses to fish in waters around the British coastline for smaller French vessels that can prove they operated there before Brexit. France says the UK has not handed out enough licenses to its fishers, while the British government has insisted that applications have been granted to those who have the correct documentation. Officials said the process of issuing licenses had been based on evidence rather than deadlines, with talks continuing into next week. They stressed the UK and the Crown dependencies had gone to great lengths to help vessels prove their historical fishing activity, including purchasing commercially available electronic positioning data. Downing Street thinks it has a watertight legal case against any reprisals, and that both Paris and Brussels know it. France's outspoken Europe Minister Clement Beaune last night insisted punishment plans are still on the table. And he vowed Paris won't sanction a trade-off between fishing access and fewer Northern Ireland border checks. But in a big softening of tone he said the threat of reprisals could be shelved for weeks while talks continue. He added, as long as dialogue seems possible we are giving it a chance. We need to accelerate progress. Number 10 welcomed the climb down, which came as a Scottish trawler seized by the French a week ago finally returned home.